Welcome in Wednesday edition, Blue Sky Live here with you this morning. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Ole Miss basketball at Auburn tonight. The toughest road trip in the country. The Rebels now get their shot at that. Look at that a little bit. Look at the games from last night, including Georgia getting a very much needed and very large win against the Florida Gators last night in Athens. They were up huge early, up 20-something points there in the first half, held on, won by 5 or 6, something like that. So we'll look at that a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the combine talk. We were going to mention it yesterday, got into some other topics, which is all good. It's a narrative every single day. Ole Miss with 11 combine invites, which I believe is the third most nationally, if I have that correct in my head, something like that. So
it's a lot of talent to replace.
It's a lot of talent to replace. That starts on Thursday.
Feels like I'm going to say that a lot over the next 6 months.
Yes. Including yesterday when we were talking about over and under 8.5 wins and what that looks like. So, yes, that is very true.
I got some pushback on that yesterday.
Did you? Okay. We'll get into it in a second.
Not from anybody at Ole Miss, just fans.
Just in general. Yeah. Blue Sky Live here with you today. Blue Sky locations all over the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55. They're out north Mississippi also. And then, when you have those, you have the Sweet Daddy's locations. They have the lunch specials every single day, including today's jambalaya all over the state of Mississippi. If you have a Sweet Daddy's locally, Wednesday's jambalaya, Thursday chicken spaghetti. Do what?
I love jambalaya.
Oh, I do too. It's
one of my favorite things.
It's very much a favorite. So jambalaya today if you're around a Sweet Daddy's. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line, no hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Corey and the people at Clark Ford, they want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove that to you when you make the call, 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that. Ole Miss did win a baseball game last night. They knocked off Southern Miss 15-8. I believe they hit 4 home runs, including back-to-back to kind of put it away there in the 8th. I think scored 4 runs in the 8th inning. Had a couple good pitching performances. Southern Miss was in the middle of sort of bullpen day. They had a tough weekend against Louisiana Tech as far as using a lot of pitchers. They're at TCU this weekend, so they were in conserve mode a little bit. Southern Miss threw 8 pitchers over the course of the 8 defensive innings last night for the Golden Eagles.
Well, I mean, this is not going to be the hottest of hot takes because it's the easiest of hot takes. I think you can look around the SEC and look at the records, and I think it's probably safe to start assuming that what's happening in basketball is also going to happen in baseball.
They're going to win a lot of baseball.
The league is going to win the overwhelming majority of its non-league games.
Yeah, Mike, even after the game last night, said, hey, that's not your typical Southern pitching staff. They were walking people and hitting people, and they were downstream a good bit. But I will give Ole Miss credit for this, is that they overcame some things, and they out-hit what is a pretty dang good Southern Miss offense. I mean, Southern Miss is good. They're ranked. They're not a bad baseball team by any measure. So it is a good win. Ole Miss committed 4 errors last night. They only had 3 zeros defensively, and yet they still found a way to win the game. So that's probably something that in the last couple of years, I don't know that they would have done that. So they've been all right. Owen Pano got off the deck a little bit last night, the freshman shortstop. Look, he's going to be really good. He's a week and a half, 2 weeks into his college career. He hits a home run, his first one, after starting 1 for 15 on the season. And then it was completely lost in it because it was the last play of the game and what turned out to be a blowout. But he went into the 6 hole for the final out last night with a professional type play defensively, and you went, oh, okay, that looked different. So, good win.
The league will only go 500 in league play.
That's true.
That is true.
Yes,
that's true. They will only win half their games.
Rebels now 7-1, and they host Wright State this weekend. Yeah, I saw a ton of hubbub last night over this Florida Stetson thing, and I didn't think there was enough evidence for review to overturn it. So to catch anybody up, did you see this?
I did.
Okay, so now in college baseball, we're using the safety bag. This started in Hoover at the SEC tournament. I don't know, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I've seen the green bag before in Hoover. And when you are hitting the ball and running to first base, that's it. It's not in play any other time. But when you're hitting the ball and running to first base, the green bag is your bag. The normal white bag in its normal place is
Sometimes
the
it's
fielding
orange,
bag.
right?
Okay,
It's
yeah,
green,
whatever.
orange, or it can be something. I was watching.
Okay,
I can't remember who it was. It may have been Florida. It may have been Florida. I don't know who it was. I was watching an SEC game against somebody, and they
it
were
was different color.
beating the living hell out of somebody, and I was listening to the broadcast half-heartedly.
Okay.
And they were talking about how the colors that it's allowed to be.
Oh, really?
And they were having a debate about
That's a downstream blowout conversation right there, if you ever had one.
And one of them looked it up, and they discussed these are the colors that are allowed.
Okay, so green and orange are two of the colors. Ole Miss uses a green bag, and I think it was green at Florida last night.
Okay.
Either way, whatever.
It was.
Ole Miss was called out on this in one of the games in Arlington because it was really confusing because I saw it and I went, huh? And then you saw the guy go, he made like a signal basically going wrong bag and then called him out. And I think it was Furness. And you're like, huh, okay. And it was a blowout, or it was like in the Texas game with the Clemson game, so it doesn't matter. But last night, Stetson gets a hit, or what you believe to be a hit, to tie the game. They call the runner safe at first base. They go to review. They overturn it so that the Stetson runner hit the wrong bag, hit the white bag instead of the green bag, and it took the run off the board. Stetson then finished the game in protest. They refused to take the field.
Who won? Florida?
I'm assuming. I did not see that Stetson came back despite that and won the game. And look, I typically am for all the traditional baseball stuff, and I fight any change at all. I don't really mind this rule. I know I'm completely on the opposite of most people. I see everybody in the stream going, this is really stupid. And I agree that it's kind of stupid. Just hit the green bag. Like, I don't have a problem here.
I don't have a problem.
I really don't.
With it. Here's the thing I have is the kid for Stetson who ran down the first baseline has run down the first baseline how many times would you say in his life?
I get it. I understand.
Probably a handful of times he's run down the first baseline. And so it's that, okay, so now you got to go to the outside bag, unless you're rounding to go to second, at which point you hit the white bag. It just feels like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to keep the runner out of the baseline.
Yeah, the goal is to prevent injury.
Prevent a play like really helped Ole Miss win the World Series in 22 when they got the turnover because the kid from Oklahoma was inside the baseline when Hunter threw the ball down the line on a play. They'll get used to it. It'll be fine. I think this is one of those that's actually a net positive. I think I'm almost switching on baseball. Every time they do some kind of like weird rule, I'm fine with an automated strike zone. I'm fine quickening the game up in some of the ways they've done it. Like, I'm sure. Go ahead. It's fine. Yeah. I got no problems. As bad as they are in so many ways as a entity and promoting themselves and doing all these things, on this one I kind of just nod and go, yeah, it's fine. All right.
I don't have any strong opinions.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I'm like look, it's 4-6 here. This isn't 10 going, oh my God, this is the largest travesty in the history of the world. No, but yeah, there were two upsets last night. Troy, who's a good team, they're ranked. They beat Mississippi State last night, and Texas State pulled off their win over Texas A&M last night in the midweek as well.
I saw where A&M lost one of their better players.
Did they? I didn't
think
see
so.
this.
Yeah,
Who was it?
I can't remember. Lost for the season.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elko got injured at first, but it was not that. It was on a turn and back and then just moved laterally. It wasn't that something happened going down the line. I don't think. I'd have to go back and look at that, but I don't think so. Anyway, okay. That's it from a baseball standpoint. That's fine. Get into basketball a little bit here. Ole Miss and Auburn tonight. Did you say 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, ESPN 2 from Neville Arena, where Auburn has lost once this season.
Florida Gators.
One time.
Tonight's games, Ole Miss at Auburn. 13.5 is your line on this one. Got Mark in the stream itching to bet on the Rebels tonight, and I mean, Ole Miss. I love you, bud, but I don't know.
So you got two pretty big variables from a betting standpoint. One is I don't have any idea. Probably nobody does either. How effective Matthew Morrell can be. Don't know. And then Auburn's got a couple injuries. There's some kind of rumblings about people not playing. Baker Mazzara, whether he's going to play or not. I mean, Auburn's already beaten Ole Miss once. They don't lose there. They have, and I mean this in as complimentary a way as possible, they have played with their food a little lately. Probably, I mean, they know the deal. They're a 1 seed. Their biggest basketball games are ahead of them. I mean, is there a world where Ole Miss keeps it within 10, 11 points? Sure. Is there a world where Auburn decides that, no, tonight we show? Sure. So I couldn't. If you're betting this game, you, as I told Mark on the site,
board,
this might be the problem side of gambling.
There's always that moment with everything where you have to look up and go, so let's internalize a little bit here. You do it with weight loss. Everybody has their moment. Yep. They see themselves in a picture. They put the shirt on and they go, I don't know here.
Yeah.
For me, it was blood pressure 170 over 120. I mean, everybody has their thing. And yet,
sometimes sometimes you're having a few beers with your buddies.
Yeah.
And you have that moment come over you where you go, someone offers you a shot and you go, that's probably not a great idea. That's probably going to lead to a bad place.
It's called an entryway is what that is called.
It's a moment of truth. And you either do one of two things. You go, no, I'm good. I'm just going to have my beer. Or you go, yeah, bring on the tequila. And then 4 hours later, there's a lot of regret. This is that moment.
When's the last time you got too drunk on tequila? Probably been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I think the last time I got like, oh, this was bad.
It's a bad idea.
Was Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, that long?
Without realizing it.
Really?
Yeah. When the adrenaline wore off, it was like, oh, no.
And that was all after they won?
Yeah.
How much did you drink during the game?
More than I realized.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I know you had your sobering moment where you're worried about Carson after they hit the Indians hit that home run.
Yeah. But apparently I kept drinking, and then I drank champagne that night when they won, and that was...
Was it bad champagne?
I don't remember, man. I was ill-advised.
Because like when Jeffrey goes and gets the Hugh Freeze champagne, it's just typically like some Cook's or Corbel or something, I think. And
it was an ill-advised moment. I don't remember. I do remember finally calming down and laying down that night, and when I did, the world took off. And I was like, oh, not good.
Hey, you didn't have anything but an early morning. Go hang out with Michael and Ross and shoot the crap a little bit.
Laura had to drive me to that podcast. I was not.
Couldn't drive the next morning.
At 8 a.m., I was probably still legally. Yeah, I remember walking into Ross's office, and the first thing I looked for is, where's the bathroom?
Over under 153.5 for Ole Miss and Auburn tonight. So, 80 to 70-ish, something like that.
It's
a no bet.
It's a no bet game. And if I am betting it, I'm probably taking Auburn and laying the points.
I tell you what, the one thing I am watching for, we keep talking about Morrell. And again, I believe his knee is basically held together with duct tape at this point, as somebody on the board said. That's what I believe.
I've covered Matt for 4 years. Matt plays hard. Matt wants to play. Matt wants to win. He came back for a couple of reasons. One of them is he really wants to take Ole Miss to the tournament. When he didn't play much at all on Saturday, it wasn't because he was pouting. It's because he couldn't go.
Yeah, and I guess my point is he has looked like he's really struggling now since the Kentucky game. He had the really good game against Kentucky, and was it Kentucky? Yeah, it was Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been bad since then. I'm wondering if it's hit and miss and you're waiting on another hit, or if it simply is getting worse and there's no hit left. I do think that's something I'm starting. I don't know an answer, but that's something I'm starting to watch a little bit of. Are you just past the point of being able to get through a night with it? And I don't know.
It's more than fair.
Yeah. Vanderbilt is at Texas A&M tonight in College Station. The Aggies are favored by 7.5 over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt 6-8, A&M 9-5 in the SEC. So 7.5 here in College Station. Sure.
I don't hate A&M minus the points there.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think so. Vandy got the one they needed. It was Saturday against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They're okay. Kentucky is in Norman, Oklahoma tonight. If Oklahoma has anything left, this is one to get.
What's the line here?
2.5. Kentucky minus 2.5.
Kind of like the Sooners plus the points.
Do you?
A little bit.
Going a little run. They got State on Saturday.
Yeah, they did.
Back-to-back home games.
They did. Fears has played really well. Kentucky's kind of beat up in the backcourt.
And then your nightcap, 8 o'clock, ESPN2. The Texas Longhorns are in Fayetteville.
What's my line there?
Arkansas minus 3.5.
Give me the Horns plus the points.
Oh.
Arkansas going
really?
Tiro Adu not going to play. Arkansas's really thin and suddenly having to depend a lot on Trevin Brazile tonight. He has been ineffective for them.
You like Texas tonight?
Don't hate it. If Adu played, I would love Arkansas minus 3.5.
So
Arkansas is going to play really hard, but they only have 7 dudes.
So of the 4, Ole Miss and Auburn's the no touch. If I gave you a no touch,
I'm not touching it.
And then you like A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Texas.
Yeah.
So you like 2 home games and then the Longhorns on the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for anybody's knowledge, I will bet $0 of my real money tonight. So don't come back and go, you said. No, I didn't. I don't believe in betting on college kids.
Yes, Will, you're correct. Neal said more than I realized. That is good wording. You can use that in the future when it comes to whatever your vice is. I just a little more than I realized. Just didn't. Got out over my skis a little bit.
I was pretty focused on the baseball game that night, not what was going down my gullet.
Arkansas is at home against Texas. That is who that is. I just don't believe in Texas right now.
I get it. Arkansas without Tiro Adu, they get thin. I mean, you're really counting on. I mean, you look on Arkansas's bench and you're going to have Boogie Fland and Tiro Adu sitting there. That's 2 first-round picks. Let's go over the list of teams in college basketball that could sit 2 first-round picks on the bench and still overcome it. It's a short list.
Around the country tonight, let's see if there's anything else. We'll get into last night's games here in a second, but I'll see what else was out there. Only one notable game if you just need more basketball. The Big Ten Network tonight, Michigan State is at Maryland. That's a number 8, number 16 game.
That's a good game.
Yeah, 13-3 in the Big Ten against 11-5 in the Big Ten. That is in College Park tonight. Maryland is a 3.5-point favorite in that one. Last night, top 25. Again, we'll get to SEC in a second. Duke disposed of Miami, who's awful since Jim Larinaga hung it up, even with him early in the year, obviously, too. Duke 97-60 last night on the road in Coral Gables. Oklahoma State, big upset last night. They went at home against Iowa State, against the number 9 Cyclones last night, 74-68. Oklahoma State 14-14 overall, 6-11 in the Big 12. I don't think that's gonna cut the mustard.
Caught Iowa State napping a little.
They did. Wisconsin disposed of Washington last night. Louisville wins again. Louisville now 15-2 in the ACC. So that win for several SEC teams, including Ole Miss, continues to look pretty good. The number 19 Cardinals are 22-6, 15-2 in the ACC. So that's 2 ACC losses and 4 SEC losses this season for the Cardinals after winning in Blacksburg last night over Virginia Tech. And then Marquette beat up on Providence last night, 82-52. Marquette there at home against the Friars of Providence. So there's your update. We'll get into
Auburn dropping like a stone in the net ratings, by the way.
1-2.
Auburn now 2 in the net rating. Florida stayed at 4, even losing. Missouri moved up to 12 last night without playing. Ole Miss moved up to 25.
Where were they?
26.
Oh, okay.
Georgia moved up to 36 from 40. So good night for Mike White. Texas dropped to 39. Arkansas dropped to 40. South Carolina dropped to 91.
Okay. We'll look at those games and what happened to call some of that in a second. If we do that, I will tell you about the Declaration of Independence Center for the Study of American Freedom. It's located on the Ole Miss campus, and they aim to explore and examine the fundamental and founding principles of the United States of America. They offer an academic minor in freedom studies, scholarship opportunities for Ole Miss students to bring along lots of networking potential each Thursday at Bouret for that. To find out that information and more, independence.olemiss.edu or contact Stephen Scoltetti or Rankin Sherling at freedom@olemiss.edu.
We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great people, products, and services. You may notice it feels like spring outside, which means two things. Means we have another cold snap coming, and then after that, we'll have the real spring, which leads into real summer, which means you want your air conditioner to work. So now would be a really good time to get that checked out. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Memphis, Hernando, South Haven, those areas, call Southern 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by Window Hero. From window cleaning to pressure washing, gutter cleaning, gutter guards, and everything in between, Window Hero has the experience, equipment, and expertise necessary to make your property look and feel brand new. They provide specialized equipment, exclusive cleaning solutions, satisfaction guarantee. They can clean up to 4 stories on buildings. It's windowhero.com or 662-510-7077. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with a personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Sego Wealth Management specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting, see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a 4th-generation jeweler located in the old Lamons Jewelry Building on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. They offer super gifts for many occasions, birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, flexible bangles, diamond pendants, earrings, and more. If your wife is expecting a baby, Arnett can help you find that perfect push present. It can also help you find an awesome gift for any other occasions. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler. And call Argent Welts 401k Advisory Services team today. They'll conduct a complimentary, no obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Argent Wealth on BlueSky Live on MPW. You get 10% off your first year's fees. It's myargentwealth.com.
All right, so inside the SEC last night, Georgia had the big win that we've already alluded to a couple times there, 88-83 over Florida. I mean, it was going to be a devastating loss for the Bulldogs. I know they were up 27-10. They were up 23 or 24 at one point.
Florida was going to make a run.
Florida gets ahead by 2, I think, late.
I thought this was the moment that for Georgia was
and they found a way.
They showed some character. I mean, everybody does the Mike White second half stuff, and I get it. It's a fair criticism. But last night it would have been easy to put your head down and go, we just can't. And they didn't. They found, kind of figured it out, a way to win a game, and that's a huge, huge, huge win for them. I mean,
monumental,
game-changing win.
I was trying to see where Florida's last lead was when they got up. I'm having a hard time finding it. 80-78. So 108 to go. Florida had gotten ahead 80-78.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia comes back down next possession. Blue Cane hits a 3, puts them up 1, and then they just sort of staved it off from there. Hit some free throws. Actually hit a lot of free throws. They made 6, 7, 8, 9 free throws the rest of the way and held off the Gators. 11-4 now for Florida. Georgia 5-10 in the SEC. So
I really wonder with Georgia what happens at 6-12. I really do. Still know. We'll see. I'd flip a coin. I don't know how the committee's going to look at them, but their net this morning is mid-30s.
And that's typically
it's typically in.
The remaining schedule for Georgia, they get Texas on the road on Saturday.
So a loss isn't going to hurt them from a net.
Ken Palm giving them a 37% chance
in
that game. They are at South Carolina next Tuesday.
Have to win that
Must win there.
So that would give you 6.
And then 7-11 got a real shot. So a monumental home game to close at home against Vanderbilt.
Oh, I'll go one further. I think at 7-11 they're in.
Yeah. So can you beat Carolina and Vanderbilt to close and get in?
I think all of the teams we've been talking about, Georgia, Texas, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Arkansas, I think 7-11 is going to get them in the tournament. I do.
Yeah, I mean, their resume includes Kentucky, Florida, and St. John's as of right now. Those are wins.
I mean, show me an ACC team with that resume, not named Duke.
Mm-hmm. Last night in Baton Rouge, LSU did hang close. I got that one right. Felt pretty good about that last night. Tennessee 65, LSU 59, and a bit of a rock fight. At the PMAC last night, Tennessee up 3 at the break, 26-23, and then wins by 3 in the second half as well for a 6-point win there. Tennessee 10-5 in the SEC, LSU 3-12. They play hard. They don't give up. They show.
I'll be really interested.
Man's done a good job.
He's a good coach. I'll be interested to see what Ole Miss does in these 2 home games coming up. I mean, I know they play Auburn tonight. I get it. Free shot, blah, 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 whatever.
But Oklahoma's the circle.
I'm not super interested. I mean, I'm going to cover tonight's game. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to write about it. Everybody don't misinterpret. Shh, calm down. But I'm more.
Ole Miss will have to play its way into interest tonight. Yes. Yeah. I mean, 5 to go and Rebels are down 2, and you go, okay, yeah. Sure.
I mean, I'm dialed in at that point, but I'm kind of going in with the, all right, you lost at Auburn, so does everyone. Here's your season. And I think they're in anyway, but nobody wants to limp into the postseason.
You don't want that.
Figuratively and literally. I'm writing my column in my own head. Saturday feels like a big game. And then I think even win or lose, Wednesday against Tennessee feels like a big game. Saturday at Florida, next Saturday at Florida is whatever. Losing on the road to teams with
it's Oklahoma and Tennessee on your home floor.
Yes.
Can you win an Oklahoma game you're just supposed to win, period?
Yeah.
You are.
I mean, tonight I'll turn it on. I'll be sitting right here, and I'll turn it on, and I'll watch casually. And
you'll do it up here instead of down there?
Yeah. If I go down there, I get distracted.
Okay.
And then I look up, and I miss 12 minutes of a game because somebody asked me to do something, or one of the girls calls, and Laura's talking, and I end up in the conversation.
What do you think the Oklahoma line is?
What does Oklahoma do tonight? I mean, I think it's Ole Miss minus
4.5. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Bama had one of their really nice nights last night. They were an offensive juggernaut in Tuscaloosa. That felt like free money and was free money last night. Alabama 111-73 over Mississippi State last night. I mean, they were up 53-27 at the break. I think in the first half, their 3-point percentage was higher than their field goal percentage. If that tells you anything.
I think when you're coaching against them and you see them start knocking shots down, you go, oh, damn it. Going to be one of those nights. Going to be tough.
They can lose to a lot of people, but when they are on, God help almost everybody. I mean, they are awesome when they are on. Last night for them, Youngblood goes for 27. Sears goes for 21. Phylon goes for 10. They also got 13 and 10, 9 and 7 off their bench last night. So that's a win. Nelson was fairly quiet. He 3 for 6 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, no free throws, 6 points. 24 minutes there for Mr. Nelson. But yeah, Tide finished the night shooting 52% from the field, 49% from 3, and 84% from the line.
Yeah, back-to-back losses for State. I'm off the wagon.
State was 6 for 30 from 3 last night.
If State goes on a big, long NCAA tournament run, I will officially go, didn't see that coming. Good for them. I'm off. Earlier in the year, I thought they were a team that was really dangerous. They're so inconsistent.
Hubbard 8 for 22 last night, 3 of 12 from 3.
I mean, I'm out on his game.
Melendez 1 for 6 from 3 last night. Kugel shot twice, missed both 3-pointers.
I don't understand their offense.
That's a good way to put it. Their offense doesn't make a lot of sense.
Mm-mm.
I don't like watching them play. There's a lot of teams in the SEC I like watching play.
Yeah,
State is not one of them.
They're not one.
Florida, all in. Alabama, all in. Auburn, all in.
You could tell last night Florida was trying to incorporate people back together again. Condon, Hangloten, those guys hadn't really played together. They were swimming for a while. And then they had a run where they got going. Like they played some basketball. You're like, oh, look at that.
I mean, you get back in it. You're on the road.
I mean,
you're sunk. And
Todd Golden didn't lose any sleep last night.
right.
He's fine. They're good. They're big. They have guys who can shoot it. They're. If we get a Florida Auburn game in the SEC tournament, I'm watching.
And then in a blowout, not an unexpected blowout at all because of how Missouri is frankly good and plays so well at home. They win by 30 against South Carolina last night, 101-71 there in Como.
Mizzou's good.
Yeah. Now 10-5 in the SEC.
Mizzou's good.
Carolina 1-14. So I think we both different games. I think we both would have gone 3-1 last night. So it's good. Finally got a little bit of momentum.
Both Arkansas and Georgia get games at South Carolina. Those are big games for those two teams. Big games for those two teams.
Our chat is alluding to it a little bit. Do this quickly because we won't do it tomorrow. Saturday's games, just to give you guys a heads up. Auburn is at Kentucky at noon on ABC. So a network game there for Auburn and Kentucky. Arkansas at South Carolina, as you mentioned, that's at noon, SEC Network. Oklahoma and Ole Miss, Oxford, 1 o'clock. So baseball's at 4, basketball at 1 on Saturday.
Thank you to the schedule makers.
Yes,
I love you guys.
Just 1 o'clock.
Love you.
You're done by 4:15 out of there. Peace.
You guys are the best.
LSU at Mississippi State on Saturday. That is 2:30 SEC Network.
That just saying.
Food City Center at 3 o'clock on ESPN. The Alabama Crimson Tide at the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh,
you have a little contrast in styles there between Nate Oates and Rick Barnes.
Just
in that
a little.
Styles make matchups apparently, and that would definitely do it. Missouri is in Nashville to face the Vanderbilt Commodores on Saturday.
It's a good game.
5 o'clock SEC Network.
That'll be a good game.
One. Georgia at Texas on Saturday.
Huge game.
Both teams need it. And then the nightcap, 7:30 in Gainesville, the Texas A&M fighting Aggies and the Florida Gators at 7:30.
That's a good game.
That's a good game. Good front court game right there.
Good game. It's almost like the league's good. Almost like
it's hard to have bad games when you have 13 NCAA tournament teams potentially.
You have 13 teams that can make legitimate arguments, maybe even 14.
What's that Bama-Tennessee line going to be?
Tennessee minus 3.5, 4.
I kind of like Alabama. Because if you score it all, you just...
Tennessee's going to guard you, though.
I know.
Bama's got some dudes that don't like getting guarded.
We saw that against Auburn. They were flustered.
Tennessee's going to guard you in Knoxville.
Blake does have a good point. He says best time to bet is non-conference college baseball because the best teams just win on the weekends. You can put a bunch of money lines together.
Well, it's my thing with SEC baseball teams. I think you're going to see this play out. Is my point earlier was not really a knock at Southern Miss, but I have no idea where Ole Miss ranks in SEC NILs.
But you know where they rank nationally.
But I know that an SEC team can put a roster together quicker than a whatever league USM's in.
They're now Sunbelt.
Yes. Yeah, Barnes puts Oates in a straitjacket on the regular. Mark says, my money would be on the Vols Saturday.
You'd lay the 3.5?
If you made me lay real money, I would lay it on the Vols. I will not, however, bet real money on that game.
Ole Miss is week ahead. Ken Palm giving them a 12% chance at Neville tonight. Sure. And then a 75% chance against Oklahoma at home on Saturday.
I think Beard would take that right now.
If 1-1 week would be more than fine for Christopher Beard, I think.
Sure. Oh, I mean, if they could find a way to go 2-2 down the stretch, it's a huge win. You can sell 1-3. What you can't sell is 0-4.
Because it's 0-6.
I mean, that's you're limping
because that's 0-6
big time into the postseason.
Yeah. Over under. If I put the over under at 1.5. I
mean, I'm gonna go under. Sorry.
9-9 feels right.
Yeah, and before the season, if I'd said Ole Miss goes 9-9 in the league and makes the NCAA tournament, everyone would have signed on.
Said done.
So, I'm not going to be the guy that moves the goalpost and goes, what a disappointing season. I mean, 8-10 still gets you in, and it's not the end of the world, but it's just that you go into it with no momentum at all. You need something to. Saturday's a big game. It just is.
It's a huge game.
I think Saturday's a big game
in
a world where Ole Miss upset Auburn on tonight.
Still a huge game.
Still
Seeding
a huge
would become.
Game. Well, it's just you just need to. They need to play well at home.
They don't need to go 5-4 at home.
No,
or whatever that would end up being.
So Saturday's a big game.
That was the only 2 baseball losses just quickly last night. Yeah, it was State losing to Troy, 6-5. Troy holding off the Bulldogs in Starkville last night. They had a bad night all the way around with some athletics last night.
Probably some frustrated people over there.
And then, as we mentioned, Texas A&M losing 7-3 to Texas State. The Bobcats coming into
They'll be okay.
College Station last night and getting it done.
Make sure I didn't dream that about Texas A&M. Surely I didn't.
They did. They had an outfielder who got hurt. I saw on the board on the thing.
Okay. Yeah, they had. That's what I was telling you earlier. They had a player get hurt.
Stetson ended up losing 6-1. So Florida added on after the situation last night, and they won in to land against the Hatters 6-1 last night.
Gavin Grahovic.
Yep. Yeah,
last year's SEC Freshman of the Year, out with a significant injury. Will have surgery to repair his left shoulder. Will miss the remainder of the 2025 season.
Oh, the whole season.
This according to Texag's Ryan Browninger.
I'll take his word for it.
The Austin American Statesman also reporting that Gavin Grahovic out for the season.
Big loss.
Yeah, Freshman of the Year in the SEC. Typically a good player.
Texas State is actually a pretty good baseball team. Yeah. There's a lot of talent in the state of Texas. So even downstream, they end up putting pretty good rosters together.
So it's been obvious that he was battling discomfort during the first part of the season. Last year, he started 67 games, hit .298, 23 homers, 66 RBIs. That earned him SEC Freshman of the Year, as we discussed. Yeah, pretty good numbers for a freshman.
23 home runs as a freshman.
Or a sophomore or a junior or a senior, for that matter.
Wow.
So a big loss for them. I always hate that. That's the stuff I can't stand.
A shoulder. Really?
Yeah. Said he was battling it. It was obvious that he was playing hurt.
Huh. Okay. We'll touch any more of Ole Miss baseball, but I got a couple minutes here. If you're going to take something from last night, it was the 6th inning. Southern Miss had cut it to a 3-run game at the time, 10-7, I believe is what it was. At the moment, they loaded the bases with nobody out. Ole Miss went to Braden Jones, who's gotten better as his career's gone on. He redshirts first year, comes in, shows some talent, but it's been a little wild. Hadn't had a lot of command at times. He personally credits Joel Mangrum with a ton of improvement for him mentally and mechanically since Mangrum got here last summer. And he forced 3 straight outs to strand all 3 runners. So Southern Miss did not score from that point, despite having bases loaded with nobody out. He gets a force out at home, a pop-up, and a strikeout to get out of the inning. So Jones has looked very good early. I think it's another bullpen arm, starting to be a bullpen arm they can count on. And that's the one thing to take from a moving forward standpoint with last night. So there is that. So again, Ole Miss 15-8 over Southern Miss last night in Oxford. Wright State beginning at 4:00 on Friday. The Raiders in town. I know nothing about them yet. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll get to Combine, get some NFL stuff in a second. Before we do that, let me tell you about NeSpark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available, whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends. They offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. That's up from 1 gigabit previously. Also, the 300 megabytes is the same price as the 100 used to be. So giving you more speed for the same money there with NeSpark. To earn more, register for service. That's nespark.com. NeSpark, get connected, stay local.
Brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you are looking to plan a trip that creates a lifetime of unique memories, maybe spring break coming up here soon, maybe really soon, but spring break, summer, maybe you're already thinking about the holidays, get in touch with John. Give him some parameters, give him a budget. He will give you options that you don't probably come up with on your own. And you do not have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387. Or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.com. corinthdental.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com. Are you a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your own career in your own hands? Are you an experienced entrepreneur simply looking to diversify? Either way, Andy Ludicky can help. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy and put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, or 404-973-9901. Got the weekend coming up. If you are looking to have a few beers at some point, I recommend Parish Brewing Company, right there in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Their simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and I would say that they've done it. You got Dr. Juice, Envy, Ghost in the Machine, Canebrake, and more with Parish. Get out and maybe going to the baseball games. Maybe you're just hanging out by the grill. Get Parish Brewing Company. You will not regret it.
Podcast is brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and they offer MedSync. Fill prescriptions the same time each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. Also easy to transfer those medications. One phone call, they take care of the rest. So whether that's Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or G&M in Oxford, 662-236-2222. That's a long time, Doris. I had to go back to the office yesterday. First time in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time. That's a life change that suddenly got reversed on you. How many days a week are you in now? What's the deal? Fill us in. That is becoming more normal around the country.
What is JHS tonight? What is that?
Josh Hendrickson's show would be what he's referring to.
Oh, yes, I think so. I think at 3:30-ish.
Okay. So, Combine starts tomorrow from Indianapolis. I think it runs through March 2nd, if I have that right. I think that's correct. Ole Miss.
Through Sunday?
Is that right? Sunday or Monday? I don't know the date.
Yeah. Saturday's March 1st.
Okay, then Sunday, yes.
Because this is March.
Oh. This is a lot of tweets coming.
A lot of tweets.
Head on over to johnrothstein.com/shop.
I'm really trying to decide, do I need Twitter? Do I need it? I know that I don't want it anymore. Do I need it for my job? Do I need Twitter? That's the question.
Okay, we can do this real quick.
All right.
Twitter is the least productive when it comes to converting links to reads of any social media platform.
Okay.
Facebook is actually much more powerful than Twitter when it comes to people clicking links and reading them. A couple different reasons is people give most stuff away in the actual body of the tweet or just tweet without links.
Right.
And two, on average, a tweet only has a lifespan of about 7.5 minutes because of curated scrolls, the way it works.
Okay.
So I think if you're really talking from a straight professional purpose,
for me, the need would be, not to interrupt you because you're interesting what you're saying. The need, if there is a need, it is the ability to
interact with people.
Direct message.
Yes, right. To find people and interact in that way. I do not think it actually is necessary from a website message board promotion standpoint.
Oh, I agree with that completely.
I don't
even hardly try to do that anymore.
I think people who are really engaged with Twitter think everybody else is on there, but they're not.
Yeah.
I think you're simply discussing whether or not it is valuable because you don't. I agree with Ben. You can make Twitter because you get to control your followers.
Yeah.
You can make Twitter simply a curated news list. You can do whatever you want with Twitter.
Right.
However, you don't necessarily need that. You can find news wherever you're choosing to find news.
Yeah.
I think you're strictly looking at it from a standpoint of, are there ways to contact people off Twitter, whether it be podcast guests, recruits, whatever that looks like,
yes,
versus other entities, and it would be more complicated without it.
That's
I
correct.
think that's simply your question.
Yeah, because I'm not a person that gets my news off Twitter. I subscribe to The Athletic. I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. I subscribe to the New York Times. So I have access to other that's smart news comes up. I get smart news.
Okay.
I don't need Twitter for information.
For news purposes.
I don't.
Okay.
Need it for contacting people. And with recruits, honestly, they don't for every 20 recruits you contact, one might contact you back. I mean, that is just,
I actually think there's a decent chance you need it more for podcast guests than recruits.
I would agree.
Other media outlets, things like that line.
I would agree.
But you're saying you think, and I don't mean this negatively, this is most people, you would need to disband it to not go to it in some ways.
Yeah, I would love to have the mental discipline to just leave it.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's become a really, not social media in general.
Yeah, social media
has become just a horrific place. I agree with you.
It's toxic.
You and I were having this conversation before we got started. You said, and I'm hopefully I'm not speaking out of school because I want to give you credit for it. You said you think it's impacting people's brains.
I do,
and I think you're probably right.
I think we're having actual developmental differences chemically over time. I do. You can't convince me otherwise.
No, I obviously I can't prove that.
I think,
but if you told me I had to bet one way or the other.
I think if we stay on the path we are on, and I'm being serious here. I mean, I know we're preaching a little bit, but I'm being real.
Yeah.
I think the path we're on, it could create evolutionary changes in brain function.
Oh,
I do.
Yeah, I can't argue.
Not
that.
a scientist,
no,
just a journalist,
yeah.
but it's what I believe. We have no attention spans. It's getting worse even with old people. Again, I watch a lot of YouTube. My attention span is worse than it was 20 years ago. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
I read.
And young people don't read, and then people go, "Well, them." I'm like, "Hey, old people don't read anymore either. Everything's just scroll."
And if you want to completely defend it, you can say that people know how to speak; they just use shorthand. But I think it affects your communications in every ways. Kids don't want to talk.
Agreed.
I have, and this isn't an Ole Miss thing. This is from multiple places. I've had kids a lot that go, "Hey, I need to ask you some questions for a class. Can I email the questions?" Because they don't want to speak. They don't want to call. They don't want to talk. They don't want to work through it.
So this happened.
And now most of their teachers will tell them no, but that's what happens.
So this happened with recruits. This is a problem. And ethically, I have an issue here. And I'm old when it comes to this. You know that. You'll reach out to a kid. "Hey, I heard you visited Ole Miss," or "I know you're visiting Ole Miss. I was wondering if I could talk to you about the visit." And you know me, I can get in and out of a recruit conversation in 3 minutes and get everything I need.
Yep.
And I'll say, "I won't keep you longer than 5 minutes."
I could literally build a script to talk to recruits, and you get everything you need
in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And frankly, the shorter I talk to them, the better.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the whole people are, "Oh, I build a relationship with the kid." Shut up. I mean, no, you don't. They have no idea who you are. They think you're an old man and a creep. But what they do now is they'll say, "Can you send me the questions?"
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll send them the questions because whatever, I don't care. And the answers I get back are short. They're written in lingo.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to decide, okay, I'm going to build a story around these answers.
Do I change it into functional text?
Do I quote them?
Right.
What do I do? Because if I quote them and convert that into traditional English, ethically, that's wrong. And yet, if I don't, some people would say, "You're trying to make him look stupid."
Yeah.
And so often I've gone, "I'm not going to write it." And then I'll watch another outlet, and no, I'm not naming names. I'll watch another outlet write these big stories with big, long quotes. And I know what happened. What happened was you asked them a big, long quote with a yes, no answer. They gave you a yes, and you used the quote, which is ethically wrong because the kid didn't say that. And if you put quote marks around something, you're saying this is specifically what they said.
I think in some ways that's what gave rise to more message board threads where you just try to take what their meaning was and say, "Hey, hearing this," and you just do this because you go, "The hell with it."
Or you'll say paraphrased.
Yeah, sure.
Johnson said.
I mean, they pointed out here. Yeah, a lot of people have talked about The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. That's been a very popular book on this topic. I think it's social media. It's not one to communicate. It does. It's changing brain function. It's changing the way we operate in society. And social media, between instant gratification, anonymity in a lot of ways, especially with X.
Yeah.
It's not names. It's not like Facebook where you at least have your name in theory.
Sure.
And the favorite system where people get their, frankly,
value.
That's a good word. I was not going that strong, but yeah, that's true.
What it is.
Yeah. Their value comes on how many little thumbs up or likes or hearts or whatever it is it's going. And yeah, I mean, it's the phones. That's the vehicle.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
I mean,
but they work together in tandem. It's a catalyst one for the other.
I'll give you a story.
Yeah,
I don't think Carson will mind. So Carson's 18. And last summer, he went to the beach with his girlfriend and her family.
Okay.
And he came back, and he was in this phenomenal mood. And I was like, what's up? And he was like, you know what was incredible? I was like, no, what? He goes, I didn't take my phone to the beach. He goes, I just went to the beach. He goes, and she had some little cousins or something that were there. And he's like, I let them bury me in the sand. And we played and we did all this. He goes, and I realized that I was off my phone and it was awesome. And I was like, yeah. Of course, now you're right back on it because you're addicted, right? And like we have an exchange student here, a 17-year-old boy. And I'm not making fun of him because it's like he's like everybody else. I mean, they don't, it might as well be a body attachment. And then you put in the AirPods so that they can listen to the TikToks and all the stuff.
So now we've completely isolated into a soundproof environment.
So, yeah, I mean, that's their world. Well, that's a really small world. And so there's no ability, and he's fine because he's got a lot of interaction abilities. You've seen him on a couple of podcasts. But they're not all kids are that way. And so a lot of kids, man, I mean, I'm just telling you, they're off in their own little worlds, and they'll contact us. Hey, I want to write for you guys. And I'll talk to them, and it's obvious. Well, number one, you can't write. But number two, you don't even have any idea what's going on. Like, I'm like, where do you get your news? And they'll say, well, I don't want to pay for news.
So TikTok. So
I'm like, okay, well, you have a phone. Who paid for your phone? Did you pay for it? Whatever, whoever paid for it, you're paying for news because you pay for the phone. It's actually ingenious on the part of like the app people. You're paying for something without realizing you're paying for it. Genius.
Oh, look, it's every one of those things. It is, the world is angrier. Everybody's angry. Social media causes it, I think, because our attention spans get hit. And when your attention spans get hit, you don't talk anything out. You don't actually get to resolution. You don't get any nuance. You don't get any depth. And when you stay surface level, you're not fulfilled mentally, and you're angry because you get, hey, no, that's not it. But we don't try to get to any common ground. We just stop and hate each other, and we move on with our day. And I mean, it affected me too. I mean, I've told this story on the podcast. Is before 2 years ago for spring break, I'd never been to Disney World. I always kind of made fun of it a little bit. It was like, okay, fine, whatever. There's plenty, whatever. And I got back and I went, actually one of the better vacations I've ever had. And sure, some of it seeing my kid do those things and experience through them.
Sure.
But then some of it was, I was really, really busy. But you know what happens when you're really, really busy? You're not holding your phone the whole time. Frankly, you can't. You're moving and doing stuff other than trying to schedule things with the situation. And I went, I never would have thought Disney would be the place to unplug.
Yeah.
But it was, because your phone is not, you don't have, if I go to the beach, and you do a good job with this, if I go to the beach, I'm just going to sit there and scroll social media probably. I mean, I might read a little bit or have an audio book, but I'm probably going to just have my phone out playing.
I won't even take mine.
Yeah, and
if I take it, it's so that I can like listen to a baseball game. But it's the sun and all that stuff, and so I don't get it out, and it's going to get wet and dirty and all that stuff, and so I don't scroll. And I love my day. I'll take a book. Hell, I'll take 2 books.
Yeah.
I'll go down to the beach. I'll take a little cooler. put some water in there, put a few beers in there. I'm good. I could go down to the
I know.
beach. I could go down to the beach
know.
by myself.
I know.
For 12 hours.
I know.
And if Laura goes down there with me, we'll actually do this thing where you talk.
A bridge too far. Sorry.
I mean, that's I know. I know. Whoa. But yeah, or she'll have some magazine and I'm reading a book and perfectly happy. We're good. I'm fine. I don't need that connection to that. And then yet I'm as guilty as anybody of sit outside and scroll.
I mean, I'm having a lot of parental thoughts right now on how old before your kid gets a phone. Like, what is the age? What's the age for apps? Because I think we're in a really bad place, adult and kid, right now. Mm-hmm. But what worries me is, where do we stop? Where does it keep going? Because it looks like a train that is just barreling like hell down one way.
Yeah.
No brakes. It's the movie Speed. We're just going.
Well, the phone's become a babysitter.
It has. I mean, we did the watch thing this year for Carly Ann. It's the AT&T version of the Gizmo. I think it's called the Amigo, which is just allowing you to know where they are, and they have very preset things they can say, but it's not. There's no apps. There's no things like that. And I go, it's a gateway. I just
sure.
I don't know.
Of course it is.
So what's your decision? What are you going to do?
I don't know. I hadn't made it yet. I'm going to work really, really hard.
Could you just simply unfollow like 95% of the accounts where there's nothing there, yet you still have the account for DM purposes?
Yes, and I also did some blocking last night.
Oh, did you?
The people that go, that's weak. No, it's not.
No, you're protecting your own peace at that point. I got no problem.
I learned that from Josh Hendrickson. He said anybody who ever trolls him, he just blocks them. They're just blocked. That's it. Gone.
I do it with State fans who can't stop adding me in their tweets.
Oh, really?
State fans are bad about arguing with somebody else, but somehow you get tagged in there, and it's like, go away.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
I don't think that's happened to me much.
I can't see the replies, which I think I saw X now allows you to separate yourself from a conversation.
It does. I have done that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw that. So maybe that cures that issue. But no, I think... I think we're in a really critical place when otherwise professional adults are getting their rocks off with social media and anonymous likes. Yeah. I think we're in a really dark place right there.
And I think I read, don't hold me to this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think I read somewhere that we just now got to the place that more fatalities on the roads are caused by texting and scrolling than by alcohol.
Oh, really?
Think about that for a minute.
I'd buy that.
Scarily,
I would buy that.
More texting and drive. That's killing more people than drinking and driving. And drinking and driving remains a very big problem in our country.
And Indoors is right. Algorithms, these type of things, they are completely designed to keep kids hooked.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you make a great point. We had video games. Mario had 8 levels. After you beat it, it was over. These games don't have a conclusion.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I remember beating a video game and you go, well, hell, all right, that's it till the next Contra comes out, and then we'll go do that.
Once you solve the Rubik's Cube, you had solved the Rubik's Cube.
It's true.
You might mix it up and get it again, but at some point you got so proficient at solving the Rubik's Cube that you didn't need to play the Rubik's Cube anymore. You moved to something else.
Where do you fall on those apps that allow you to watch everything your kid's doing on the phones? And to what age?
I don't know. I mean, we didn't do all that. We probably didn't. We probably didn't. We probably gave our kids far too much freedom. Of course, they appear to be well-adjusted young adults. So,
yeah, and I think it depends on what age you get the phone to begin with. Obviously,
I can't remember.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer. I haven't decided what age that will be or not be. I don't know.
I don't. I wouldn't have any access to. Of course, Carson's 18. He's an adult now, basically. I mean, I don't have any insight into what's on their phones or not on their phones. I mean, we've talked about especially for young men, the dangers of phones. I mean, we've had this conversation where everybody's like, ha ha, but it's a real thing. I mean, the proliferation of porn on phones is such a dangerous, caustic thing for I would assume I would assume young females don't struggle with this the way that young males do, but I could be wrong. I don't know, but I would think it's destroying some young men's ideas of sexuality and relationships,
intimacy in general,
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bob says sad. My future kids will never experience the freedom of leaving on your bike with friends and not coming back until the street light comes on. I mean, yeah. To close the topic, your story about Carson is the most eye opening because it's all that technically happened was lived in a way that you created a memory instead of a video while watching on a 3.5-inch screen.
Yes,
that's what happened. Was we actually have a memory?
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, let me record this and I'll watch it later. And as the things that is the life is actually happening.
Well, I wrote about this in the thing I wrote about his soccer career, but he used to, when we were driving to Tupelo, he would sometimes ask me about like my childhood because he was curious. And so I'd tell him about it. He's like, what'd you do in the summers? And I was like, well, I mean, we played, I was before travel ball, right? I played for a Dixie Boys or Dixie Youth or whatever team in Ruston, and we had 2 games a week. We might have a practice.
And then you had some all-stars. And that was it.
And then, but, for the most part, what did we do? We got up in the morning and we went outside because sitting inside the house watching TV wasn't allowed, right? Your mom at some point was like, get out of the house. Get out. And so we'd get out and we'd go play wiffle ball or basketball or whatever, and somebody would set up a water sprinkler. We might play wet wiffle ball. I mean, everything was playing, though. You learned to interact. You had fights. You had some disagreement about whether a ball was fair or foul because did it really cross over the tree or not? You dealt with stuff like that. But I remember, we played tackle football until somebody got hurt, and then we played flag football with socks. And so people would try to cheat with the sock, and it was always
something.
But you learn conflict resolution without realizing you were doing those things. And we'd get on our bikes and we'd go to this store called Handy Foods, which backed up to Highway 167. And now parents would never let their kids do that. And we would bike this trail, and the big thing was, did you see a snake? We were always worried about snakes. And you got to Handy Foods and you bought what was it called? The icy, not the icy, but it was like the slush
puppy thing.
Slush puppy. Thank you. I couldn't remember. You got one of those. You bought some baseball cards, and you got a candy bar, and we went home, and you went home when Judy rang the bell.
Yeah.
And then if there was still any light left after that, we got back out and played. And at 9:00, you took a bath, and you were pretty tired.
We don't really let kids roam much, and I don't like. I've said this in podcasts. I don't think it's less safe. I just think we know more.
Probably. I mean, there were creeps in the 70s.
I don't think the safety is actually any.
There were probably child molesting creeps in the 1970s.
And right now, Carlian knows where's the boundary. You're okay on this street, but that's it.
Yep.
Gone on the other one, kind of got in trouble a little bit. It's whatever. So. All right. We will continue on in a second.
Sorry.
No, yours great. I'd really talk about that, frankly. TheManThing.com. You can make an appointment today. That is the men's clinic in Madison and Brandon. They make it simple. They want patients to remain as healthy and as strong as possible throughout the aging process. They do this by optimizing testosterone, improving sleep, reducing inflammation, treating insulin resistance, and facilitating a healthy gut microbiome. That's 601-607-7869 in Madison. That is TheManThing.com.
We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Co. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural, made with real fruit, no added sugar, low-calorie, gluten-free. 1 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit easyhempco.com to visit the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD extracts. It's for people 21 and older. Enjoy responsibly. I'll have a mailbag to you in a little bit. It is on rebelgrove.com. It's brought to you by Art Hayes, Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's International Realty and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. So call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com.
Podcast is brought to you by the Citizens Bank, where you're not just an account number, but a valued member of the community. Now, if you find yourself in the market for a mortgage, another reason to give them a try at Whit Wilson, who maybe know in the mortgage space now at the Citizens Bank, and ready to help you with your real estate goals. That's 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E for now. Got groundbreaking, got construction coming, but you can discuss things with Whit or any other experienced bankers. And while you're there, ask about School Spirit debit cards. They donate an amount per every transaction to the local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. That's the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com. TV telling me that the quarterback drills for the combine begin at noon on Saturday.
Okay.
For the Jackson Dart and company. They're Ole Miss's players that are in this here combine. Again, there's 11 of them. I think that's tied with South Carolina for the third most nationally.
Any nine? They're all portal guys, right?
Ooh,
all
good
11?
question. Trey Amos, check. Ulysses Bentley, check. Insert jokes here. Jackson Dart, check. Trey Harris, check. Jared Ivey, check. Walter Nolan, check. Chris Paul, check. JJ Pegues, check. Princely and Monomalin, check. Jordan Watkins, check. Juice Wills, check. There is no Trey Washington.
100%.
Trey might be your one, quote, snub that was a homegrown player.
Wow. Some of things changing.
So, from a proving standpoint, Amos can move up a little bit. He's a fringe early second right now. It's kind of what we mostly see from him, early to mid-second.
Yeah.
Dart's obviously got a big situation here. I think he ends up being a first-round pick by the time we actually get to the draft.
I think I do too.
Somebody somewhere is going to need a quarterback. He's undisputed the third best quarterback in the draft, at least. I think he ends up in the first round.
Well, look, they're going to sit down with him. They already have, but now they're going to get to do it more, and he's going to blow people away. The leadership, the charisma, the communication skills, just kind of the way he carries himself.
They're going to be comfortable with him leading a franchise.
Oh, I mean,
which matters a lot.
I mean, was the face of a franchise here and dealt with some stuff.
That is true.
Had to do the Altmaier competition. Then they brought in Sanders, which was Lane. You got away with one.
Yeah.
Because had the rules been a little different right there, we're probably rewriting some history.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
No, it worked out.
But he handled that, and it pissed him off.
It did.
But he never said that publicly. And so he never threw the franchise.
No, it just motivated him, and he got going.
He just kind of got going, had a little edge. And by getting that edge, he got others to work with him.
Well, I mean, he, to his honest credit, he never went, hey, you know what? We're buddies. We go have pizza every night, and we go. No. It's cool.
And he was pissed at Lane, but he never said that publicly.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of Trey Harris, second, third round right now.
I would think with him, it's just a health thing,
It's a health thing. Little surprised Ivy in some of the drafts never shows up. Like, there's a 3-round mock I was going to go over a little bit on NFL.com, and he's not listed.
Is it just because he's not super fast?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can only so many guys can go in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, but if you told me Jared's an NFL player for 8 years, I buy it. Yeah, totally.
All in the first round, but a lot of variance on Walter Nolan. I see him as high as 11 and as low as 31,
so
32.
Like Jackson Dart, right? Is Nolan probably a better pro prospect today than Jackson Dart? Of course. Is there a world where a team goes, hey, we got to have quarterback, he's there, and so Walter falls a little? Sure.
I have not seen any top 3 round stuff on JJ or Chris. You've got Princely second to third, somewhere in there, depending on fit.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to want a pass rusher and grab him. I think he goes higher than the metrics.
I do too. So they say some of the deal with him, and this is with Trey also, Amos, is that he would not fit every defense.
So his pool is smaller.
Yeah.
And then I have not seen anything on Watkins or Wells, so obviously they have anything to prove just simply to get into any of these conversations as we move down on that. Trying to find the
I agree. If in a world where Walter Nolan falls to 31, someone is getting a steal.
Oh.
He probably won't fall that far.
Looks like Cam Ward is either going to the Titans or the Giants. It's been pretty much exclusively those two.
I'm not backing off my stance.
I'm not either. I told you, I ran through the analytics, and he had so many interceptions on short passes. And I went, hold on a minute.
Tyler's mad at you about that. I know. I'm with you. I agree. I don't even need the analytics. I just know what I saw. If you tell me I can have Cam Ward and some other dude, or I can have – now, here's the problem. I probably can't have this. But if I can have Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart – give me Abdul Carter, and I'll take Jackson Dart early second round.
Yeah, I'll figure that out later.
And we're good. But the problem is Jackson might not fall.
The Rams or the Steelers or somebody else might screw that up.
And then I get out of there, and I don't have a quarterback, and I needed a quarterback, so now I'm back to
you got Will Howard, and you go,
so now I'm back to thinking about Cam Ward. And I just can't imagine being a GM of a team with a top 3 pick, and I walk out of that draft with Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I think I'd be sick to my stomach.
NFL.com has Warren Nolan going at number 8 to the Carolina Panthers. So that's how high we've seen him.
Who's that?
Walter Nolan, sorry.
Okay.
I keep saying Warren Nolan because of the baseball thing. Speaking of Quinnen Williams, Nolan earned that comp this season from Ole Miss defensive coordinator Pete Golding, who coached 3-time Pro Bowler at Alabama. Nolan's explosiveness off the ball and ability to chase down plays make him potential top 10 selection like Williams, and pairing him with Derek Brown means trouble for opposing offensive lines there at Carolina at number 8.
I watched him all year. He was a beast.
They have the Saints taking Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end.
That'd be a good pick.
In the first round.
He looks like a guy that's going to be a very good NFL player.
He does. I think that was the only first-round pick, or maybe this is where they had Dart at the end. Yeah, they have a projected trade with the Jets and the Chiefs at 31.
Okay.
NFL.com. Says multiple teams could be looking for a quarterback early in round 2. To avoid the Friday night rush, the Jets trade up from 42 in round 2, sending that selection and a 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick to the Chiefs. Dart's efficiency, smooth delivery, and above-average mobility for the position earn him the nod in this mock. So
that's a heavy investment.
They have the Jets giving away 2 picks and then trading a pick to grab Dart at 31 is where they are sitting there.
Okay.
See if there's any second round in this mock for Ole Miss. Trey Amos, 46 to the Atlanta Falcons in this mock, which is about what we see, mid-second. Sure. And they have Princely going to the Bills at 56.
Okay.
Let me see if there's any third rounders. I don't remember. Trey Harris going to the Saints at 71. So that is your Saints currently. Your Rebels currently in this 3-round mock. I'd pull this in case we need it, and I'll hit a couple of them because it's ESPN projecting the starting quarterbacks for every NFL teams next year.
Okay.
Seth Walder is the writer on this, and what you actually realize from this is a very large portion of the NFL is set at quarterback for next season. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of teams that just know, and we're all moving on. It's a very small group.
Okay.
That doesn't know. But of the ones that it's in question, I'll run through this quickly as we close. They have the Browns projected with Kirk Cousins. They think the Browns are going to make a deal and grab Kirk Cousins from Atlanta to be the quarterback.
That's going to change everything.
Atlanta's basically telling him to stay as a backup potentially to Penix. The money, it's just whatever. They have the Raiders taking Shedeur Sanders and starting him as a rookie. Good luck there.
I mean, okay.
I want to watch. I'm in. Let's see what happens. They have the Saints trying to be a little creative to rebuild. Finally, it's time. Can we just stop and let the window die?
Yep.
They have Justin Fields, the Saints starting quarterback next season.
Okay.
Think that he's kind of the cusp of what they might can afford. They're going to cut Carr after the June deadline thing to save the most money and then try to figure it out from there. They have the Giants taking Cam Ward and starting him as a rookie next season.
Poor Jeffrey.
They have the Jets.
He deserves better. He's been a loyal fan for a long time, and
Cam Ward is not the answer.
He deserves more.
He does. The Jets.
You have Eli for that long, and then all of a sudden after that, it's a complete train wreck, and you go, wow.
Well, it makes you miss Eli more.
Well, for sure.
You regret not taking those days for.
Giants fans love Eli. They love him more today than they loved him, except for the 2 days he was winning Super Bowls.
Jets moving on from Aaron Rodgers and grabbing Derek Carr. That'll fix it for next season. Steelers grabbing Sam Darnold from the Vikings for next year.
He had a nice year. He's fine. Year. He's not going to win a Super Bowl.
Titans going with Jacoby Brissett next year. Okay. Sure.
Sure. Good luck.
Colts, Anthony Richardson, standing pat there with AR-15 moving forward.
Well, he's not ever healthy.
They admit that this could look very stupid, but currently they think the Rams will stick with Matthew Stafford for next season. It just makes more sense than – because if you're Stafford, do you really want to go to a rebuilding team at 37?
No.
Just pay them a little more money and whatever. And the Rams don't – they still have a window. I mean, they played the Eagles well in the divisional playoffs. Yeah. The Rams aren't dead.
No.
They've got a couple really good young players.
But if you move on from Stafford, who are you moving on to?
Well, you're drafting somebody like Dart and just resetting at that point. Well, I don't think they're in a reset.
Nothing against Jackson, but for next season,
Stafford.
I'd much rather have Matthew Stafford than Jackson Dart, the rookie.
Yeah, of course. They think the Vikings are just going to hand the keys to J.J. McCarthy and get on with that next season.
Yes, that's obviously going to happen.
Seahawks stick with Geno Smith.
By the way, the Vikings are really high on McCarthy. Maybe they'll end up being wrong, but they're really high on him.
They have from day one.
Like they love him in the building.
Mm-hmm. And then Geno Smith with the Seahawks next year again.
He's solid.
That's it. That's the only even potential questions. Everybody else completely locked in for next year.
If I'm Jackson, I want to go someplace like the Rams and be Stafford's backup for a year.
Oh,
that's the most.
That's manna. Sean McVay, a great organization that does a good job, spends money.
An older quarterback.
Kroenke's been a good owner in L.A.
Yeah, that's my. If I'm him, that's where I want to go to a place like that.
I'm right there with you, Junior. I don't want Dart anywhere in New Orleans, but it's for Jackson's sake, not the Saints. It's keeping him away from the riffraff that we have going on right now.
Yeah, I mean,
no money, no quarterback, rookie head coach. What could go wrong for the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah,
the division's not very good. There's that.
I think he's going to be a really good pro.
So just the does. Penix in Atlanta. I'm not even going to go through some of the obvious ones. Bryce Young again in Carolina.
He actually played okay last year.
Okay.
See, I'm back to talking myself into NFL Sunday Ticket.
It's fine.
Bryce was not bad.
Tua and was still a Dolphin. That's it. Everybody else set. Done. More than half the league. Just no questions at all. So.
You could land in Miami and be Tua's backup.
And have a shot.
And you're going to play.
You're going to play.
Sucks, but true.
Yeah. All right. Ole Miss, Auburn, 6 o'clock tonight, ESPN 2. Got some good games coming. We'll discuss all that with Mr. Wright tomorrow. We'll ask him about Cam Ward, see what he thinks about the Giants situation there in the NFL draft as the combine is getting going. So hope you have a great day. RebelGrove.com, MPW Digital in the meantime, and we'll talk to you on Thursday morning.